Welcome everyone to our very first Tri-Campus Game Jam. So
Can we all just unmute and give a round of applause for all your hard work before we start?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
Now we're hyped. That was perfect.
That's great.
All right, so let's go over the schedule for today. So first, we will be introducing the clubs, and then we will introduce our guest panelists, and then we will go ahead and check out some cool games that you guys all made for the past 2 weeks. All right, so first we have UW Seattle.
All right, so hello
Cameron,
everybody.
feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello everybody. I'm Cameron. I am the former game dev president for UW Seattle. UW Seattle, we're all about being a club that makes a space for game developers of any skill level. Come meet people with similar interests, make some games, learn from one another, and work on projects that you get passionate about. That's our spiel. You can see our Discord link and website link down below. We'd love to see you stop by from the other clubs, hang out. We're always around. So, yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to UW Bothell. Vincent, feel free to come on up and introduce our club.
Hey everyone, I'm Vincent Allen. I'm the president of the Husky Game Dev at UW Bothell. We're a club that strives to just introduce people to the world of game development. We like to do our best to provide opportunities for people to kind of learn game development skills. Most of all, we like to promote a friendly environment for people to learn and just to make games at UW Bothell. And we're super happy to collaborate with everyone, and this is super awesome. Just a small thing too, currently our club is hiring new officers, so if you're interested, check out our forum on our club page or just on the presentation here. Thank you.
Now let's move on to UW Tacoma.
All right, guess that's where I step in. My name is Alex. I'm representing UW Tacoma Game Dev. I'm the president of our tiny little club. We just kind of started this last year. We pretty much do the same as the other two clubs, just way cooler, as you know. It's a joke. But yeah, here at UWT Game Dev, we aspire to create a place of learning, teamwork. Thank you for the laughter. It's delayed, but I still appreciate it. Teamwork, understanding, diversity, and most importantly, a place to play. We encourage people of all skill levels, if you're interested, come join us. We take people who don't even come to our school. If you want to just hang out, talk to us, you'll probably get a message once every 5 years, but thanks. That's it.
Thank you to all the clubs for the intro. And to all the students, know that just because you're at UW Tacoma, you're only just limited to UW Tacoma events. There's game dev clubs in all the campuses, so definitely watch out for any opportunities that's available everywhere in all the UW campus. And now let's move on to the panelist intros. First, we have Nick and Caelan.
Hey everyone.
What's up, guys? Hi. You want?
Hi.
You had to do it because you woke up on time.
Oh, true. I did. Hi guys, I'm Nick. I woke up on time. One half of Aggro Crab Games. Fun fact about me, I was the first president of UW Game Dev Club, the first one that matters. And I basically built the club with my 2 bare hands and made it what it is today. So you're welcome.
Oh!
I also did the branding for that treasure chest logo, and I'm the reason why Game Dev Club is one word, and it will remain one word until the end of time. After forming the club, Caelan joined up. Hi, Caelan.
What's up?
And we ended up making a game studio. And then that one kind of crashed and burned. So we made another game studio, and this one's more successful. We recently put out a game called Going Under on PC and console. You may have heard of it. And now we're working on a new game that's a secret. So thank you guys for having me back and having Caelan back. We love the club, and we of that it's still going. You guys are putting in so much work. So yeah, we're just happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Could you specify which one is which in the picture?
Oh, I'm Nick. I'm the one on the left. Caelan's the one on the right wearing the hat.
Thank you.
That is true.
Mhm.
And yeah, Nick said pretty much everything needs to be said, other than you're not supposed to say you're one half of Aggro Crab because there's like 10 people on the team. That's not
One half of the owners, the equity.
Yeah, just call yourself a co-founder.
Okay. Well,
Wait,
guess what, guys? The Game Dev Club to industry professional pipeline is alive and well. That's
Yeah.
so that's my spiel here. Sorry, someone was gonna say something.
Yeah. You're the guy who made Smash and Brick, right?
Yes.
All right, great to have you on.
Very important lore as well.
I got a good question.
Yes. Wait.
Thank you, Nick and Kaman, for your intro. Let's move on to our next panelist, Ben Hayes.
Hi. Can people hear me okay?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Ben. I started out in the industry back in 2004, where I mostly worked for casual or educational game companies. The most notable thing that I worked on back then was Diner Dash, and then a lot of games like Diner Dash that were not as successful as Diner Dash. After working in the industry in New York for about 9 or 10 years, I came out to Seattle to work at Wizards of the Coast, which is where I worked for the last 8.5 years. Most recently as director of game design on a whole bunch of Magic projects, as well as new digital stuff that Wizards was doing. And last month, a couple weeks ago, I left Wizards, and at the end of this month, I'm starting as game design director at Second Dinner, which is a company that the designer and executive producer of Hearthstone founded about 2 or 3 years ago. I am here because I know Jay Schneider, who's an instructor in one of UW game courses. I've guest lectured at his class, and he invited me to come do it. I was excited about it because I love doing stuff like this. Like my bio says, I live in Seattle. I play a lot of new games all the time. I really like Path of Exile and Crew, the Quest for Planet 9 right now. But at any given time, I'm playing a lot of different games and enjoying them, so those are just 2. And I'm really excited to see what you all made today.
awesome.
Thank you for that intro, Ben. Let's move on to the next panelist, Jay.
Hello, my name is Jay Han. I'm realizing how sparse and goofy my bio is, but I will elaborate and talk about myself some more. So I am currently an associate UI UX designer at Sledgehammer Games, currently working on Call of Duty 2021. I'm a recent DigiPen alumni. I recently graduated in 2020 with a bachelor's in game design. I'm also a K-pop fanatic. I smile too much. If I could show my video, you could see me smiling right now. And I'm taller than a venti coat. And yeah, this is my first game jam experience, especially UW. I want to thank Rena for inviting me out here. And I can't wait to see what you all have made.
Thank you, Jay, for the intro, or the bio. Now let's move on to the rating, how you all will be judged today. So here you will be judged on the theme, gameplay, graphics, audio, and completion. So our panelists today will be specifically looking at these criteria. And so now let's move on to the submissions. And now how this is gonna work is I'm gonna have my stream going so we know which team is going next. But if your team is up, feel free to hop onto the that team's representative stream. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully it's not too chaotic, but let's get started. So first up, we have Penguin War. So.
Oh yes, and one more thing, just to respect everyone's time here and keep it in a constrained time period. We're gonna cut off your presentations at 15 minutes. Okay, so just remember to present your game and introduce the concept in the first 10 or so, and probably leave some room at the end for some questions and comments from our panelists. So yeah, without further ado.
Real quick, what's the theme of the jam?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it's...
We didn't even say.
It's growth and decay.
Awesome.
Oh my... Yeah, we should have probably... I think we had it... I just forgot to point it out on the second slide.
Now we know.
Yes.
I'm not sure how loud this audio is going to come out for those that watch.
It's everywhere. We wouldn't say it's growth and decay, but and okay. So for Penguin Wars, I see that Alex has his stream on, so I think everyone will hop on over to Alex. And
yeah, I gotta test some stuff. So let me know if the audio is too loud.
Okay.
Or too quiet, because it's really loud for me.
Is there?
The audio is fine.
Audio sounds good to me. Cool. So I guess I'll be presenting Penguin Wars, and Alex and Kyle will probably help me out with that, with some technical stuff. Yep. So my name is Vincent. I just helped out with various small things around, did some graphical programming. Yeah, lots of programming. We have Alex. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Alex Humphreys. Again, I'm the president for UWT. I worked with How and the rest of these guys, but I was mostly with the programming with How. We worked on a lot of the base setups and stuff, making sure that it was well grounded as well as we could.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Kai.
Hi, yeah, I'm vice president for the Husky game dev at UW Bothell, and I helped program this game as well as do some of the art.
Cool.
So some of our missing members here, How couldn't make it, Winston and Judah, but Winston did the Penguin model, the original. The music is all made by Judah. He's also known as Cosmosis. And then again, How helped me build the infrastructure.
Perfect. Awesome. So if we want to go, just show off the rules real quick. Just poking that.
The rules.
So we have our little thing of rules here. We didn't have a whole ton of time for tutorial, so we just threw in what we could for rules. Essentially, the gist is it's a strategy game, kind of like Civ, where you have penguins who are fighting each other, and you have to be the last faction of penguins alive as the ice decays around you. Awesome. You want to continue on?
Yeah.
All right. So here's kind of the faction creation screen. This is where you can kind of create your factions. It'll give you a random color. Alex, Kyle, do you guys want to add anything to this part?
I'm going to stick with 2, but we do go up to 3. Specifically 3.
Alright.
We had trouble with our 4th.
Awesome.
I'm going to call this one Discord. That's you guys.
Alex versus Discord.
Wait, is this a multiplayer game?
Yes. Only local though. I'd be very impressed if we could do networking.
Yeah, we were cut short for time, but we definitely wanted to try to make this multiplayer, but fortunately, we cut for time.
Currently, it runs by hot seat. If anyone's played that game type and other types of strategy games, it allows you to play with one computer and kind of one mouse, and you hop off depending on whose turn it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're gonna run out of time. So to begin,
oh yeah, Kyle, you go. You got it. Or not Kyle, but Alex.
You can start by buying land, or penguins or fishermen. The fishermen will actually allow you to regain your money, which is in fish, of course. And your goal is to have this king be the last standing. You also have the enemy king who's also trying to do the same thing. So I'm going to start by just making some fishermen and some attacking units.
Yeah, and fishermen units generate, I believe, 10 fish every turn. And and it stacks. So the more fishermen, the more fish you generate per turn.
We're not going for attacking this time. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to play the whole game out for you, but it's kind of, that's pretty much how it goes. And you kind of expand your territory, and you're trying to push yourself towards the middle because we'll see it later. The ice will begin to melt. I'm going to move.
I like that.
The idea is to grow your faction and claim more land. You can only place units on land that you have already claimed. So yeah.
Oh, and then of course they stack once you've got them on top of each other.
Yep, up to 5.
Oh no, that's a bad spawn.
Oh no.
Should I just click through and show the ice decay, or should I keep playing?
I would maybe show off killing the king. Murder the king.
You have 10 minutes 40 seconds left.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So how fighting works in this is we just kind of went for a pretty basic. You can stack penguins up to 5 per unit, and basically when you meet an enemy fighting unit, basically whichever one has more penguins in that unit will win it. So yeah, I was gonna show you here. So yeah, basically
Then we kill them. You lose 2 penguins.
Oh no. Rest in peace, penguins.
Rest in peace.
If you want to, if you want to move the king outside of the edge, but also zoom us to level or round 21.
Yeah. Is that implemented? Is that gonna work? Did you fix it?
I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
Cool. We'll test it out.
Once we get to 22, you'll see the ice begin to crack.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
And then, oh, that one's not actually on.
Yeah.
That one's outside of the range.
He's safe for now.
I'm gonna. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But the ice does melt.
Yep, that's kind of our decay. Your
I'll leave him
empire
there.
grows, but the the land around you decays.
So it does die, but we didn't make it, so it stops the game. So that is a bug.
Uh-oh.
I knew it was gonna happen. But essentially, you get to the last round, or you kill the enemy, and the game will end. I didn't get to add some stuff here, but that is the ending of the game, and you can quit. Alright, back to the main menu. And that's Penguin Wars. I mean, how much time do we have? Are we really ahead?
You guys have 9 minutes.
Okay.
Nice. Q&A.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
if you guys have presented everything that you wanted to present, feel free to move on to Q&A with the panelists.
So, what made you guys decide to make this game?
Oh boy. So, when we first started this game, it was me and Winston, who's currently not here. And Winston randomly was mouthing off different words to make it a theme for us to make. And one of them he landed on was penguin, and I think another one was maybe war? I don't think so, though.
Well, you got that.
Yep, and we said Penguin Wars, and then when we brought in Vincent and Kyle, and Vincent just approached me and he was like, hey, we were wondering if you wanted to collab. We told him about just Penguin Wars, and I think from there we just moved on, right? We started talking about it.
Kind of grew, yeah.
I think it's... What? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying there's a pretty depressing narrative here if you sort of start thinking about it.
Yeah.
True.
There's killing each other over the last piece of ice.
Yeah. And I think that's where we started, was the fact that decay could be seen as the decay of the ice, and they're fighting over the last piece. I think we started with the decay being the main point of this game was, ice melting.
Yeah, we were kind of like, oh, what's our setting? Probably like Antarctica or something, right? And then we were like, well, what if, how are we going to fit in decay? And we were like, what if the land around them melts?
I just realized what we can fit the rest of our time with is the struggles we had when creating. Let's talk about merge errors.
Merge errors.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I actually
Oh boy.
if you had more time on this project, what would you do with it?
Network mode.
Yes.
Or AI. Probably just AI. To have a single player mode would be nice.
Yeah.
And then bug fixes.
I'd like to implement like more interaction with like units or buildings or something, right? Like being able to fortify a hex cell. That was something that was kind of concepted early on, just not enough time.
And we also talked about fisheries, which would be stationary, so you have to sacrifice them as the ice melts. But it would produce more fish.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It definitely had a good direction. With more time, it could probably be something pretty nice.
Yeah, and we're also thinking of having like varying size maps as well. Like,
That goes back to our troubles. Creating the hex grid brought us a lot of trouble because there's so much that went into it. Just learning, because when How came in, I had already started the basis, which I'd gotten from some online resources. I had cited that and referenced that, and he and I were both decoding it and figuring it out as we made it. And so on top of that, we would work on the same things, and when we tried to upload it to our Unity collaboration, it would just break the game. So we had a lot of troubles through that.
Don't use Unity collaboration. Get on GitHub.
Yeah.
Well, real quick though, how does the hex grid work? Just at a high level.
So we start out by triangulating the mesh of the hexagon, and from there we actually had trouble because we changed it later on to increase runtime by turning the meshes into like 5x5 grids. But essentially, we just run them through 2 nested loops that instantiate them across a set length. So we set a length, we have like prefab cells that we just spawn along, like at if x is 0, and you go along the loop, and then go to the next one. Same as you would probably any kind of grid making system, but with all the extra loops and things we took, it ended up being probably more runtime heavy than it needed to be. But it wasn't too complex, the basic math that was used. But yeah, we have like a creating a cell, which references like the metrics of the cell and formats that into its own mesh, and then it remeshes it to make it into a chunk, so we could make them like 5x5 cell chunks, so it would only need to render one mesh at a time. So much different stuff. Yeah, it ended up just meshing with everybody else's stuff and screwing things up. Probably could have simplified it quite a bit.
I think the varying terrain is like one of the really cool parts of the game visually.
Yeah, that took a while too, because you had to we set 2 different elevations, and we connected the 2 elevations with like triangles and rectangles.
Yeah. It really elevates it beyond just like a flat grid, no pun intended.
Yeah, and it was a flat grid for a while until we realized, because what originally happened was, using a reference, we were able to make some sort of like map editing system, but there was no way for that to actually formulate into a real map for them to play with at the beginning. They could have this little editor to play with, but it wouldn't be a real game. And so when we got rid of that, it wasn't updating in elevations, so we just ended up setting it as a random range from like 1 to 3 elevations, and that's how it populates the elevations. If we set it any higher, there would be cliffs that people could get stuck on, and even now you can get stuck. Like in the corners, if you get a bad spawn, you can just be stuck there and have no way out. So,
well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
A quick question: what's our time looking like?
It'd be 2.5 minutes.
Awesome. Do we want to move on to just constructive feedback?
Yeah, one more note I had. So I'm the art director at AgroCrab, so I want to just go over what I thought of the art here. And I thought it was good. I like that you guys went for the 3D low poly look, because I think that can be scary for a lot of beginning game devs to do 3D. But it's really cool. I love the water here on the main menu, and the grid itself. But
do you want me to go back into?
Yeah, go ahead.
Show it off.
show it off. So one piece of feedback I would have here is that the snow visually could be improved if the ambient color was blue instead of pure white, because the shadows here are gray. But if you look at like photos of ice, you'll notice the shadows are blue. And actually a lot of shadows are blue when hit by direct sunlight. And that's just a general way to make things prettier. And I see a lot of people not realize that.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I should say though, and Vincent, you can talk about this too. We did have the idea of painting these things a different color.
Yeah.
We did have a shader.
I had like a toon shader. With just some very basic stuff that we were kind of scrapping together from references online, but it was like a toon shader, and eventually we couldn't get it to work, but it kind of slightly shaded things blue and made it look a bit more like cartoony like, right?
Yeah.
But we couldn't quite get that one working.
It may not be what you were talking about. I just thought I'd reference that because we had an idea for a different color for the actual ice, not just pure white.
We had plans to texture the map, but
it would mess with the coloring.
Shaders are a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Is that like in the lighting, or is that in like the land that you were talking about for the blue ambience?
Oh, I mean, if this is Unity, is this Unity?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like an ambient light setting that you can fuck around with, and setting that a little bit blue, and then setting your sunlight a little bit yellow can make a really nice look for super easily.
Yeah. That's totally something I forgot to go over. We're building it at the end.
It was a mad dash at the end, guys. We got it in at like 58 or something. 11:58.
Yeah. I mean, you chose a pretty ambitious genre, I think, even for a 2-week game jam. So it's really cool to see it like come to fruition as much as it did.
Yeah, we definitely had at least I had some second thoughts near the end when we had like 2 days left and a lot of it wasn't implemented. I can tell you it took us like a solid week just to make sure we understood the like hexagrids, make sure it all worked well and meshed.
I do remember one of you guys saying that like it can be very difficult for when you're in game dev and you don't know much to go from 2D to 3D. What are some tips to make that transition?
Are you asking us or are you asking?
I'm asking the people on the team.
Oh, us.
Yeah.
Have friends. It was a lot easier with people, even though we had a lot of merging errors. If you work with the team, I think it's nice to have people who can actually do the 3D art for you. I suck at 3D.
I will say we're out of time for this one.
What
Gotcha.
about programming stuff? What about programming stuff? How drastic is it to program from?
Make it a big change.
Yeah. How big is it from like to programming from 2D to 3D?
It is a difference because just the added dimensions in a lot of ways. A lot of the rotating of a camera, you have to change camera settings because when you're working with 2D, all you really have to do is just pop like Cinemachine in and just have it follow you. But this one, we had to write our own code for the camera movement scripts, like changing, you got to populate the cells in both an X and a Z axis because Y just goes straight up.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely does come to a new degree, but if you've got, like I said, friends to help you, people that you can rely on to take care of the harder stuff so you can focus on like one task instead of doing it all. With 2D, I think it's easier to manage a singular game by yourself or with 1 to 2 people. But if you've got a really big project, you're going to want, and then 3D can be usually pretty big, so.
Even for the camera, it's always like one of the worst coded elements of our games.
Well, we had it, so that little pan from one king to the next was so bugged because the original script for the camera code was having trouble, and it was like updating positions after it updated in a different, it was just bad.
Yeah. Oh god, say no more. I'm stressing out.
Sorry. Let's move to the
We
next.
should probably move on to the next person. Sorry for taking up time.
Yes. And this time, just to structure it a little better, we'll leave time when we get to the Q&A at the end. We'll just cycle through panelist by panelist so that each person has their moment to give their feedback. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds smart.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry for taking extra time, guys.
Yep. All right.
Each panelist can have like a minute or two to give their feedback, and then we'll cycle through. All right, so next up, we have Time to Grow by Thomas and Newton.
Oh, that's me. I can start screening it a bit.
So a representative from Time to Grow, feel free to start sharing your stream and talk about your game.
All right, it should be up. Okay, join. I forgot to put our things in the submission. Yeah, hello, I'm Thomas. I am the now current president of UW Game Dev Club at Seattle. I did all the programming for this and some of the assets, and my partner in crime, Newton, did like all the assets. Say hello, Newton.
Hello.
Yeah, we're just a two-man project, two-man group. Unfortunately, our game doesn't have like any audio because neither of us have experience with it. But I just want to make a game with my bro, you know. So, yeah, I guess I'll get right into it. So the game we made, Time to Grow, is a 2D puzzle platformer. For the theme of growth and decay, we just thought of like time manipulation would be a cool idea. I think a lot of people thought about plants, yeah? So yeah, it's like a typical platformer. So the special gimmick is you can plant trees, that's like your main thing, but the other thing is you can actively control like time in the game, and it'll affect basically every game object in the game, including the player or anything you put down. So yeah, like here, you're like, this ledge is too high, you can plant a tree, turn up the time, and now you can jump on it, and you can make it over, and then you can shrink the tree if you want.
That's basically Braid with plants. That's
kind of. Honestly, I didn't think of Braid until after we finished the game. We finished the game, and I was like, you know what? Our game is kind of similar to Braid. The game has a different... It's inspired by a different game. I could talk about that later. But anyways, so yeah, you'll notice like there's like changes between like the ages. Like you'll move fast when you're a kid.
Shit.
You can, like,
I just want to say I love how the youngest performed like T-pose once.
Oh yeah, does anyone here play Genshin Impact? Because it is a reference to that. If you know what I'm talking about, that is is like straightly taken from it. But yeah, you know, like the enemy also will change. Any point you can die. If you die, you'll respawn at the nearest respawn point. Those are hidden. But like it's just like every time you finish like an obstacle, you'll get to it. So like here's another thing, like you're like, this is a weird box, like maybe throw up the time, and it's like, oh, it's actually a bridge. And it's similarly, if you go too much, the bridge will like decay part of you, and then like you can't make it over anymore. So like there's like certain parts where you need a specific time. Also this game has speedrun strats, which is super neat. Anyways, but yeah, like there's like certain parts where you need to like be a certain age, like the tunnel, you can only make that when you're a kid. Otherwise it's too low for the other heights. Let's see. And here's like a section where it's like, when we made this game, we wanted the puzzling, like the puzzle solving to have like multiple different approaches. Where it's like not just one obvious answer. Unfortunately, I feel like our brains are not big enough to comprehend the monster we created. So the puzzles are like super complicated. But like here's an example of like multiple different ways to do it. Like you know there's like a knight on the other side. The knight won't approach you until there's like ground. Like if you bake this bridge, so there's like two ways you can do this. One, you could go to the child, turn off the bridge, run down, like make a tree or something. I'm gonna feel me. Another way you could do this is you set up the bridge and instead you turn up time. This will break the bridge, freeze him, and then there's also another thing. When they're frozen like this, you can actually move them around, use them as platforms, which is another added like level of stuff. Yeah, and then there's another thing. Like you can only make it through because you're small. A nice thing about the time, right? You saw, like, you might have thought like, oh, I didn't make it. So how the timer works on like an acceleration thing. Like the more you hold it, the faster it will go. So that's how. So like in a situation like this, you can just like turn at a dime, just be like, oh, I can react immediately, which is just like nice for player feedback. And then here's another like neat puzzle thing. You can move them, stack them, and then boom, just walk across. Kind of nice.
Honestly, a lot of this stuff is like more proof of concept, but like it was just really fun to work on. And then we're just closing up on the end of the game because it's not. Oh shoot, not too much in terms of what we want to do. It's like a puzzle thing, and like I said, I feel like our brains are not massive enough to fully comprehend the thing we made. But yeah, this little section, like you have to use like every age, which is really neat. And then up here, you notice that like this one's like a little weird one, like oh how do you get up there? Like one tree isn't enough, but then you know it's like the bridge when you turn it all the way up, there's a hole in it, and the tree goes up, and then you should have space. Then you turn back, boom, and that's it. It's just a little neat, just a neat project.
Okay, perfect. You have exactly 10 minutes left, so.
Oh my god, I'm just too good.
So it's Q&A time. Who should we go first? Let's have. All right, Ben Hayes. Do you want to take your turn to make your comments, questions?
Yeah. Thanks for sharing this with us. I thought that this concept was really. I generally liked it a lot. It definitely reminded me of Braid and Prince of Persia, but it's also been a very long time since Braid came out, and so it didn't feel like, oh, I've seen this a million times or anything like that. It was like, oh yeah, I remember that mechanic was fun, and this is using it a bit of a different way. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of I feel like with more time, there's a lot of potential for more interesting time-based or additional interesting time-based puzzles in this type of game. I guess one question I liked it a lot. Just one question to finish things off with, which was asked last time too. Like, if you had more time, are there things you planned out that you didn't get to? Are there big features or concepts or puzzle actions that you would be excited to add in?
Yeah, there was like a point in this game's when we were developing this game where we were like, we like definitely overscoped this game. There are like a bunch of the main thing we would want to add is like more like things that could be manipulated with time. Like this adds more to like level design. We could do like more puzzle and stuff. But like we were doing it and we're like, oh my god, I don't even know how to like make this function in a puzzle. There's like other ideas that we wanted to throw around, like I don't even know. I forgot one, but yeah, like the bridge was the last thing we added, and I was like, oh man, I think we have a good amount, and that was the main thing. Just like add more stuff so you can play around with the puzzles more. Yeah, I don't know if it'll work on this game more, but I think the base concept and like the foundation is really cool, and I like to revisit that in like the future, if possible. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Next up, should we get some input from Jay?
Yeah, so I really love this concept with the time mechanic. I'm a big stickler for puzzle games. I've made a lot of puzzle games in the past, and I really liked how you pointed out that you wanted the player to have different ways to approach a certain puzzle. And I feel like that's really valuable in terms of like replayability. Yeah, I feel like if you were to develop this game more, you would. I would love to see more puzzles and variations, and just to come back and see like, oh, work. I could have done something differently. I guess from the limited puzzles you had, like from play testing, one question is, have you had like any moments where like someone would approach a puzzle differently than you would have thought of, like from the initial ways you would think how they would solve it?
Oh yeah, like this is kind of funny. Like, we were play testing it. We were like messing around like different ways to solve it. We actually found like some of the puzzles are like super cheesable, and I was like, oh shoot! Like there's ways where you can like you can do a lot less to get the same like way of like doing it the way we intended. And I was like, that's just cool. Like I'll leave that in. This was actually my first time working on like a puzzle game. Usually I make like action games, so this is pretty interesting. Like it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. Usually I like try to make combat and stuff. And this has 0 combat, so I was just like, how do I make this engaging? You know? But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was definitely a really cool concept, and I'm glad that you approached it this way. And I can't wait to see if you develop this game further and what else more to offer. Yeah.
Okay, we're sitting at 5 minutes 40 seconds. Caelan, do you have some input?
Yeah, I wanted to say, first of all, I think this is a really strong submission. I think you guys did a really good job creating like a cohesive like project with beginning and end, sort of based on the stuff you had time to implement. I think over scoping and then cutting is kind of the name of the game in game jams, no matter how long they are. But it sounds like you did it, early enough that you're able to kind of wrap up the project in a pretty satisfying way. One of the things that really stood out to me was the addition of the background changing when you changed the time. It was kind of like
my God, thank you. That was like one of our favorite things to do. I was like, I hope someone likes it. I thought it was
you're kind of like, or you kind of go to sunset when you're getting old. I think that's really cool. And just like is a cool example of like a feature that wasn't necessary but adds a whole lot just to the experience, especially just like not looking at the same background the whole time. My only question really is, why is this farmer being attacked by knights? What do they want from her?
That was a okay. When we first made the game, we're like farmers, and then we're like, what enemies do we have? And for some reason in my brain, I was like, let's do like knights or something. And then like I think like some night I was like sitting there, like laying there in my bed, and I was like, why are there knights? Why did I think that? That's honestly, I really just was like, let's do this.
Sounds good.
In terms of like other enemies, I have no idea. Like I just thought of those, and it is what it is. It just stuck.
I think really my only criticism is basically what you've already said yourself and what other people are saying is that it's like a little feature light. I think this sort of genre really like benefits especially from like having different mechanics and then combining them in clever ways. So it would be really, really cool to see where this went if you were to expand on it. But overall, really, really cool little experience.
Thank you.
All right, 3 minutes 35. Nick, anything to say?
Yeah, so I'm gonna break from the mold here. A lot of these judges, right, talking about more features. I think you guys are good on features. I don't think more features would make this a better game. First off, love it. Love the concept. Love the execution. The time thing, it's fun. You're using a lot of different ways, and that's great. But why am I doing it? That's what I want to know. Who is this lady? What is her motivation? Where is she trying to get? Why does she have this power? I think when you start asking yourselves those questions, it creates a lot of like, reason to come back and to do these puzzles. And obviously, Game Jam, not the point, but that's generally something I like to see out of games like this, and it's something that Braid does a lot.
That is honestly a very good point. Yeah, it was like at one point of our development, my partner Newton, he'd ask me like why are these things here? And I was like, hey, it's a game jam, it is what it is.
Right.
And I was like, we could think of story later. But yeah, honestly, that is like a good point. Because some of my other projects are the opposite of this, in which I think the story first and I make the entire game based on the story. Whereas this was like I made the game and then I'm like maybe story after. But yeah.
I think both can work because making the mechanic first opens up so many good questions about what the story could be about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can have a game without it being like inherently story driven. I think there are a lot of games that use implied lore on some level, especially games along the lines of what you guys made. Like I think Hollow Knight has some pretty good implied lore because like the story's there, but you can also not do it.
Environmental storytelling.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not critique, it's just, something to consider.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching this. Thank you.
Cool. We have another minute and a half. If any of the other panelists wants to put in any last thoughts, or we could move on.
I want to just answer that one question earlier. The person asked like it was like inspired by Braid or whatever, and I was like, it's not inspired by Braid because like I thought about Braid after I finished the game. The game that this is actually inspired by is an indie Metroidvania on Steam called Touhou Luna Nights. If you've ever heard of that game, because that game does really cool time-based mechanics. And honestly, when I was making this game, a lot of the programming was just me trying to reverse engineer that game. So I was like, how did they do this mechanic? Let me try that out. And when I got a thing that worked, I was like, That's pretty sick. Maybe I'll do that a new project. But yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, that's it. You got anything, dude? You want to say anything to the people?
Nah, I think I'm good. Thank you for watching Thomas present our game.
Right, yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
So let's move on to the next team. So we have red versus blue by Declan and Roberto.
All right.
Yeah, here, hold up. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, this one. Okay. All right. So can you guys see the itch.io page?
It's still loading for me.
Yeah, it's still loading.
Loading.
Okay. Can you see it now?
No, it's still taking a minute.
Hold on. I could try to stream it. Hold on. Let me try to find. Damn it.
Hold up.
I know internet sometimes likes to be like that. All good.
Hold on.
Try restarting the stream?
Yeah, try restarting it.
Look, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, this is red versus blue. It's here. You hit the other full screen button.
Oh wait.
You can you go to options and hit the full screen button? That doesn't change that. Or whatever. It's fine. Okay. So this is really more of a game called. This is actually the sequel to another game jam game that we made during the last winter called Axe Shooter. So this is really Axe Shooter 2. But the difference is well, there's a few things. First off, as you can see, there's some moving enemies, and you got a melee attack. But yeah, then you can throw your sword and whip out your guns.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait, what did you say?
There are multiple weapons.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the music's a little loud, sorry. So basically how the guns work is that whenever you can hit stuff with your sword, and that builds up your ammo meter, which is that little purple meter that you see below the health bar. And then you can spend it by throwing your sword, which gives you access to your guns. And then then the guns each consume their own amount of ammo. So the pistol consumes not much, but then stuff like the shotgun or the sniper rifle consume a lot more, but obviously deal more damage. Then also, unlike the first Axe Shooter, the levels are randomly generated. Declan, you're the one that made the level
I made the level generator. It basically, hold on, basically it sends out a bunch of these like walkers that store these locations in like a grid, and then it places the floors, and they go in like random directions, and they store the locations for the walls and floors. I don't know. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. You just kind of go around these randomly generated levels and kill a bunch of enemies. Yeah, each level's randomly generated. There's like set numbers of enemies and how much health they have. The enemies have more health, they deal more damage, and there's more of them in the later levels, but the maps are bigger. There are also a few different enemy types. So there's these guys with the red swords are a little unique because unlike other enemies, when you hit them, they don't get stunned. So they're a little more dangerous.
Did you guys make the music?
No. Neither of us are artists. The only thing that we made was the stuff that looks really simple. That's what we made. The music we took from online. I mean, it was free stuff. But yeah, neither of us are very artistically gifted. We're both programmers.
Yeah, I feel you.
Do you guys know if the music you made was under a Creative Commons license of some kind? Because if it isn't, then you guys could
Uh-oh.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay. Checking. I've used sound effects and sound.org for my own music, and I just wanted to check.
Yeah. I guess I can check, but
No,
you guys are fine. Just you can use anything you want, and we're still get cease and desisted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's. I got it from a tutorial, and so I assume that the tutorial it must have been Creative Commons for the tutorial guy to use it.
It's about 10 minutes. If you guys want to go into
10 minutes left.
Yeah, 10 minutes left. If you guys want to go into Q&A now.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. There is an ending. It ends after you beat round 10, but I mean, it's pretty much you've seen basically how the game runs.
Okay. Let's see. What order do we want to do this in? You want to do Caelan?
Sure, I'll go first. I think my main piece of like criticism would be just like looking for a little more diversity in like the gameplay. I think it feels like a loop that once you have kind of mastered it, there's not a lot to add on to it.
I get that.
Yeah. We were thinking of adding in some more enemy types. Initially, we were thinking of adding in like a boss at the end, maybe like some sort of like dodge roll mechanic, but we didn't have enough time to implement those.
We kind of took this project as like, in my opinion, the way I saw this project as a way to like practice, like just experiment with some mechanics that we haven't done yet, which is like random level generation. We've never done that. We like most guns and a gun system, even though it's pretty simple.
Also, in Axe Shooter, the enemies were a lot simpler. Most of them just sat in place. So this is the first time we have like enemies with actual like movement AI. So that took a while to implement.
Yeah. My question would be, is this made in the theme, or are you going off the rails here?
Okay, so actually, if you scroll down a little bit, we have a little section answering that. So, you might, it's the last little paragraph. The ammo bar, you see, when you hit stuff with your sword, it grows.
Okay, bro.
And then when you use your guns, it decays. So, I mean, really, I think it fits the theme pretty well.
Perfect.
Let's see. Should we go Ben?
Thanks for sharing this game with us. I'll start off by saying I strongly disagree with Caelan. I think this hits the theme really well. I think it's super easy to just make your narrative be the thing that covers the theme. I think that's something that's very common in game jams, is to sort of relegate the theme to being addressed by the narrative or by some like very heavy-handed solution. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like as somebody who myself mainly works in game design and systems, whenever I see a game system that has been adapted to make the gameplay evoke the theme, make the core mechanic evoke the theme, like to me that's really impressive. And the much less common way that I see people hit themes in these types of things. So 2 thumbs up on that. I also think generally the theme is really interesting and has a lot of potential and depth, where like in these types of games, often you will, like even if you introduce tons of weapons and tons of mechanics, like people will just gravitate towards the one they like the most, and it can become very repetitive. But having a game where you're forcing people to switch what they're doing to combat the enemies has a lot of potential. One of the ways that occurred to me that you might be able to make the game more replayable is maybe when you throw your sword, you don't have access to every gun, but when you throw your sword, you're given access to 1 gun, or you're given access to 2 guns to toggle between, but which guns you get is random, so that you have to sort of work with the hand you're dealt to solve each puzzle in each level. But yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, that could work. Although I feel like it would incentivize people to kind of just like swap over to recall their sword if they get something that they don't like.
Yeah, or maybe it could swap to a different weapon depending on like how many enemies you hit, so you get rewarded for being more accurate or something. Anyways, you have 4.5 minutes. Should we pull up Nick? You want to go?
Sure. So I agree with what the other judges said, even though they disagreed amongst each other. I agree with both. But can you run it real quick? Can you slash a guy for me?
Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, you might have to reload the page actually.
Well, I just wanted to talk about the juice for this game, because you added screen shake, and that is really nice to see.
It actually wasn't too hard to implement. The thing that
look at that.
harder is the flash. The flash. Ooh, that kills me.
Talk about how the flash. Why was that so challenging?
I mean, actually, it wasn't that challenging. I mean, okay, Caelan added in the screen shake, so I don't know how hard that was. But the flash is so you have to like I made like the animation as like a flash animation, and then transitions into the hurt animation.
Well, it's very effective. What it is.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we carried over from Axe Shooter. That enemies would flash when they got hit. But when that was easier to do because the enemies didn't have any other animations.
Right. Yeah, I mean, with these kinds of games, just like top-down shooters, running and gunning and slashing, it's just nice to see literally as much juice as possible. So I'd experiment with just different forms of juice, see how far you can go. One thing I like to do is have the sword slash faster, but then have it freeze when it collides with the enemy for a couple frames. It's called hit pause. Yeah. So there's tons of things you can do. But yeah, I thought the execution here was really solid. The procedural nature of it is cool, and the main, switching between gun and swords is good. So good job.
Yeah. Yeah, just one. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Initially, I was very skeptical of how this fit with the theme, but after your explanation, I totally buy it. I feel like while the gameplay might be like sparse or whatnot, what I really what really spoke out to me was you mentioned that like this is your like a project to like try new things like with the level of random generation, and I feel like that's very valuable. Especially in game development, you want to be consistently like honing your skills, trying out new things, and I feel like at the end of the day, if you learn something new, that's what matters. So great job, you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Alright, we're sitting at about a minute.
So the next team is
Alright, so yes, I guess that's it.
Developed by Jeremy. So Jeremy, feel free to hop on and tell us about your game.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Jeremy. I am from the Bothell, a computer science major. I'm happy to show you my game to you all today. When making games, things I prioritize is simplicity and accessibility. Not only my game can be played on a computer, but also on mobile. It requires no keyboard controls. So let's see. Other screen share. Hold on. Can I screen share?
Should be in like the bottom left of the Discord.
Ah, I see. All right. Well, my game loads. Sorry. Hold on. Load. So this is my game. It's very intuitive. It grows like this. You can tap on a screen to grow a plant.
Hold on.
I don't think I.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Yeah,
I would try reloading, stopping your stream and then just restarting it.
All right. Sorry, technical difficulties. Do you see it now?
It's sharing your Discord, but not necessarily the app that you alt tab to. I think. Can you run? Do you have a laptop?
Is your game on your phone or is it on your desktop?
Are you seeing my phone screen?
Yeah. It is your phone.
Okay. You see it, the browser now?
No, we can't.
No, on the phone. Like, are you on Discord on your phone right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to like go on Discord on your desktop.
Yeah.
Pick the screen.
Can you pull it up on your desktop?
Yes, I'll do that. Give me 2.
Real quick.
Okay.
How y'all holding up so far?
Going well, I think.
Yes.
I'm liking it.
If we
This is the first time we've done something with across as many campuses, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're still working out some kinks. We'll have plenty of takeaways for next year.
Yeah,
experimental.
It seems like a really, really fun thing to get started.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this will sort of turn into like a little tradition between the clubs. We can do more stuff between ourselves in the future.
Yeah, imagine this in person.
Oh my god, you're right.
Oh yeah.
It's been so long.
I forgot that existed.
Right?
I haven't done an in-person game jam in forever. I think I did that once before senior year, and then like COVID happened, and then I just directed a bunch of stuff during senior year.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely been a while. Oh, here we are.
Nice.
Okay. Yes, it's streaming. I see it. Oh,
Yep, we see it.
Scratch. I love this. Oh, I think you're muted,
Yeah.
though. I think,
Can I comment on this?
Jeremy, I think you are muted, by the way.
yeah, unmute yourself.
Oh, how about now?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, you're there.
So the highlight of this game is that it demonstrates growth and decay quickly. The art style is very MS Paint retro, so we made sure that it happens. The game is produced within Scratch game engine, and it works well within my goals. I started and completed the game an hour before the deadline. I hope you had a good laugh and
No way.
So
It was an hour?
what happened yesterday when I was submitting my game was I told Jeremy that I joking said that he should make a game as well, and he's like, "Is Scratch okay?" And I didn't expect him to actually make a game in Scratch and then put it on itch. So that was pretty impressive.
Oh my god.
You submitted this an hour before the deadline. Wow.
Well, I started the hour before the deadline.
That's impressive.
That just goes to show you that you can always beat a game jam as long as you scope properly.
I think he should win, just for that.
Thanks.
See the teams you want to see in the world.
Well, let's see.
You've got 15 minutes.
Well, we have a good amount of minutes left, but we can just carry that over to the next ones since we went over on one of the earlier ones. But first of all, do any of the panelists have any questions, thoughts, comments, etc.?
Critique on the art.
How about Jay?
Yeah, it's it definitely fits the theme quite literally. I'm very impressed that you were able to get this in an hour. I don't think I could even do that. It's very simple. From what I can see. If I'm not mistaken, you just click.
Yes, or it works on mobile, so you could just tap on it.
Tap. That's good.
Okay. Let's see. Ben?
Yeah. I would call this more of a toy than a game. So my question is, if you were going to spend another hour on it, or another multiple hours on it, what are some things that you might do to turn this more from a toy into a game?
Well, maybe a lose condition for which you use up all the oxygen in the world when you grow too much of those plants.
Wait.
What?
Don't trees produce oxygen?
Well, turns out those trees
He's a
use
man
oxygen.
Yeah, it's not.
These are terrifying trees.
Reality.
It's a climate change simulator. We're gonna need this to educate the climate change deniers. There is a purpose for this game.
Yeah, it would fit in with the Scratch idea. It's an educational game about climate change.
Yeah.
Nick, Caelan?
I would just like to say that I disagree with everything Ben said.
Dang. Sharp. Okay. Any other thoughts on this before we recoup some time?
This is an idle clicker in its purest form.
Yeah,
Move over, cookie clicker.
It is.
Why do you need all that extra fluff? You know?
Climate change edition.
Yeah,
That's
Exactly. Can you just click a bunch for me?
Yeah.
Like a bunch. No, like a bunch. I just see one tree going.
No, there's a limit.
There's a limit?
I don't know. It's a
You had an hour and you added a limit?
I'm just saying, like, all you need to do is add, like, a number counter that goes up with the trees and a bunch of microtransactions, you make millions.
Yeah, they took all the oxygen. There's no more oxygen.
I want 5,000 trees rendering it in real time.
Take that now. You have another hour.
Yeah. Port this to Unity.
But I want to watch your presentations.
Oh.
Oh no, no.
Are we ready for the next?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, thanks for watching.
Oh, that was great.
Okay. Okay.
You literally made that in an hour in Scratch. Oh god.
Okay, Rena.
A for effort.
Next game behind the curtain.
Yeah. Next one is Mycelia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Michael, Billy, Colin, feel free to
Yeah, give me just a second.
Yep.
Wait, before we present the next game, I just want to say, to salvage the Scratch game, it's possible to have people like donate and stuff and see like, you know, like each time you click or something, you donate like a tree in real life or something. That would be cool.
There you go. I thought you said donate as in you donate to me.
Nah.
Yeah, give him some. Maybe you can get him some more time.
Okay.
All right. Can people hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Hey, so I am Michael Richards, 1/3 of Team Friendly Fungus. My cohorts, Billy Katz and Colin Seuss, unfortunately can't be here right now. We made the game Mycelia. It is... Actually, you know what? I need to turn off the audio. It's too distracting. We made the game Mycelia. It is a resource management simulator. We started with the idea of let's not try make Plants vs. Zombies, because that's what all of our original ideas kept coming back to. And Colin pitched the idea of doing something with a mycorrhiza network, which is a fungus network that grows between plants' roots and lets them share resources. So this is a game about surviving to the end of the summer. So you start out in spring. As the mother tree, which has an existing network, you will build out the network, particularly in the spring when the water's plentiful. And then in the summer, water dries up, and then you're just trying to make it to the end. Let's go through this. So it's a 2D tile-based game. Things you'll see in here, there are plant tiles. These are tiles that are growing. These are the things you're trying to connect to and keep alive. There are decay tiles. Decay tiles produce resources. They're what happens when a plant dies. So if you connect to decay tiles, they feed back into your network. It keeps booping every time I hit the button. We also have some other tile types. Stone tiles, which are blockers, as well as some barren tiles, which actually have a chance to sprout into new plant tiles. Plants have a few resources they need. So they need nutrients. Most of them consume nutrients. Nutrients are produced by decay tiles as well as small amounts from old growth tiles. Plants also need energy. They get energy from the sun through photosynthesis, so while the sun is up, and if they have enough water, they will make energy. And water comes in the form of rain, which trails off throughout the course of the game. And we have a day-night cycle, so the sun comes and goes. If the plants don't have all the things they need, they start taking damage, which will eventually result in death. They turn red for that. So you grow your network, they passively share resources among them, and then particularly in late game, you start actively pulling resources from your mother tree, which is your icon. So I'll go ahead. Oh, there are also some special resources on the map that you can capture for a one-time resource infusion, which is very important for surviving to the end. But yeah, try and make it to the end of summer. So I'll go ahead and zoom out and play a little bit. So this is a decay tile. The mother tree needs some resources, so this is producing some, so I'm going to go ahead and connect to it. And so you will start building out. So here's the mother tree. So we have its health, we have water, energy, nutrients. If it's green, you have excess, it can share it. If it's white, you have enough. The number turns red. You're going to start taking damage. And you go around connecting to the network and building it out. So these are old growth tiles. Want to connect to those as early as you can. You can see that it is raining periodically, so it checks to see if it rains twice a day. And if it rains, it deposits water. If you have things that run out of water, you'll start seeing stuff like this, where they start taking damage. And we'll actually let this one die, so that you can see what that is like. Can people still hear me? I can't. I'm not hearing anything, so I'll make sure.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
So this is ticking down. It ran out of water, which also meant it started running out of energy, and its little death spiral will continue. And eventually you'll wind up with a barren tile. Other things we did is we added a time slider. So at one time speed, a day takes 12 hours, or a full day-night cycle. Let me connect to these really quick. And
You mean not in real time, right?
Right. 12 seconds is a day-night cycle. But you can crank it up to 5 times speed if you really want to go fast and live a little dangerously, or just have your action points generate quicker.
Currently at 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, just wrap up a few things. Basically, you spend action points to take actions, which is obvious, but the actions you can take is connecting to neighboring tiles, not tiles that, oh, these are all neighboring something. Okay, this one isn't. Can't connect to tiles that aren't neighboring your network, but can connect to any that are, and then they start sharing resources. And you can also actively pull resources. So like this plant tile is taking damage because it's out of nutrients. I can take nutrients from the mother tree, but that's a little dangerous, as you can see here. And now it died. So basically, springtime, there's lots of rain. You are working on building out your network, and mostly working on nutrient distribution, getting in decay tiles, connecting to the old growth, trying to let your existing plants mature up. Summer, it's mostly about water management. And then if you survive to the end of the summer, you get a score, do a little high score thing, where it is calculating based on the maturity of the living plants in your network. That's the game in a nutshell. What questions people have?
Awesome. Let's see. You need to decide on an order again. Should we do Nick?
Sure. So, I mean, this looks really cool. I don't understand anything about strategy games like this in general. It's just like, it goes over in one ear and out the other. But I was looking the whole time at just these tiles. They're so lovely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they're pretty readable too, like just having, you know, all your green ones and all your brown ones and all the red ones being death. It turns into this, like a quilt almost of you know, visuals and gameplay, and that was really cool.
Yeah. Full props to Billy on our team. Sadly, Billy had to drop before this. Billy did all the artwork. And he spent a lot of time on the tiles and trying to make sure that they were readable, even if you're colorblind. And
that's a great consideration.
Yeah, so he did some wonderful work, especially for our time constraints.
Nice.
All right. Should we do Jay next?
This is a very lovely, well-made game. I have to commend you for even bringing up accessibility. I feel like that's a big topic nowadays in games and a must-have. So I really like how you made this game very accessible to colorblind people. I also like how very clean the UI is. I feel like this is a game that resource management strategy games use a lot of UI resources, so I like how everything's very readable. I understand where everything is and what it does. All my information's there. And yeah, nice work.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we can do Caelan.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate how like ambitious and impressive this is as a project. Like mechanically speaking, you know, the graphics are pretty simple. They do their job.
Mm-hmm.
As a my main criticism, I think, would be like as someone who really, really likes strategy games, but is also stupid. This is just a lot of information to kind of process for a game right off the bat, which is obviously like if you're going to cut scope in a game jam, like the tutorial is not a bad place to do it. But I do find myself overwhelmed, and I think I would struggle with finding like internalizing how to improve at the game round over round.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Getting a good sense of like what I did well and what I did wrong. But yeah, very cool project. I think my question would be, man, I can't think of a good question. I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
But it's a cool little project. It's obviously sticking to the theme quite closely, but it does a good job of it.
Thanks. Yeah, and the tutorial we're aware of, to be honest, this game hit playable very late Thursday night. So the tutorial was implemented yesterday. So that was a consideration we wanted to put a little more time into, but in order to showcase, like, this is how you play the game, we need to have the game playable. So
yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. And last but not least, Ben.
Hi. So, echoing what a lot of other people said, I love the way the game looks. Really, really impressive in that regard. I love how it ties into the theme mechanically and with the visuals and narrative. So, a lot of really strong stuff there. I have a similar sort of concern or criticism or question as other people around there's a lot going on here mechanically. It was hard for me to keep up with the different game concepts and mechanics and understand what to do or, as Caelan said, how to play the game effectively. So I would have loved to see things introduced maybe more sequentially and more discreetly. Or maybe trimming back a little at least for this, but very ambitious and very impressive that you got all those things in. Yeah, this is great. Thanks for sharing all this.
Thank you, and thank you guys for your feedback.
We actually are sitting on like another 3.5 minutes for you guys. So if the
cool.
panelists have like any other comments, things to add, questions, you can go ahead and shoot them out. Otherwise, I think I'd like to like maybe get inside your head. Like, what are you thinking about when you play this game? Like, what's the intended strategy you guys had for the players going into this? Like, what are they supposed to be doing?
So, honestly, we went back and forth on that a little bit. We started with Micro's network. Okay, we want to do network sharing. We want water scarcity to be a big theme. So that's really where we started. We went back and forth whether this should be a thing over years where you're tracking seasons, or whether it should be a more concrete period of time. I'm not playing this very well, but that's fine. We wound up settling on this just for kind of simplicity. We could do a day-night cycle pretty quickly, as well as it was easier to represent like rainfall and stuff like that in that period of time. But yeah, as we implemented it, a lot of the gameplay things kind of changed. Just quick going on, like originally instead of transferring nutrients from the mother tree, we actually had them pull from surrounding ones. But we discovered there were problems with stuff like that because by the time one tile's out of water, its neighbors are out of water too, so it didn't really do anything. And we found that by pulling it directly from the tree, which is the key thing for the loss condition, it added some risk on it, especially since you can pause the game, but anytime you're actively playing it, time is moving. You can't pause and take actions. You can pause and take a breather, or you can be playing. So there was a nice little tension of you might not have enough time to check if you're trying to save everything. And part of it is we also didn't want players to save everything. The nutrients became more important as we were playtesting this yesterday. That's the funny part. Because they're a critical piece of the decay portion of it. And we wanted players to, as they play, to learn to make choices of, I'm going to let that plant die because I need the nutrients anyhow, and that will continue to feed the growth of the network as a whole.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and one other thing, very briefly, I noticed that you muted your tab at the beginning of this, but could we listen to the sound effect?
Oh yeah, sure thing.
We have like another minute, so.
Yeah, no. So this is our basic play music. We have a little action sound effect. That's probably a bad idea. Yep, it was a bad idea. But very straightforward. But we got the menu music, we got the gameplay music, and then we have our little action point generation and use sound effect. So that's our audio. And again, art was done by Billy, audio was done by Billy. He was doing a bunch of coding too. I did a lot of the systems coding. So like the hex tiles, interconnected, sharing resources, stuff like that was more my piece in it. So.
As someone who like does not do audio work, I'm always just so like impressed and jealous at how much it improves the overall experience.
Yeah,
to have that stuff back in.
It made a huge difference when he added that. It just made the game so much nicer.
Yeah.
So.
And now we're out of time and on to the next one.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you for that. Now we have Green Reaper. Time for another try. Oh, I like the name. So do we have Oliver, Misty, Amy, Matthew, Lillian here? So
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Oliver. I don't know who all else is here. I heard Matt.
That's me.
I can pull this up in just a moment. Alright. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry? Because
I think there...
captures the sound if you share a application, like your browser.
Let's do that then. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be sound right now. My audio is set up as doesn't really like me that much, so I can't talk to people and hear things at the same time.
Okay.
Anyway. So yes, this is Green Reaper, Time for Another Try. Just a whole 2 puns in the title. So you play as this little nature spirit thing walking around, and you just not die real quick. Can grow trees, you can grow plants, and your goal is to revitalize the area into all this green lushness. So growing things takes health, and plants, the trees sort of stabilize an area, like you saw at the start. Things progressively decay unless you have trees to sort of stop that. And these sunflowers give you health back. And you can also grow animals which will fly off and die. And wherever they die will as they die, their bodies will decay and spread nature mist. So that's another way to spread that growth. And then, yeah, so the general goal is to sort of fight against that decay and grow the thing. So this first level is very simple. You can see up in the top corner the progress of regrowth. And resurrecting things costs you health. I didn't mention that.
yeah, you get nice lush forest. Good for all the corners. There you go. And then we have a couple different levels currently implemented. This one is same deal, just decays a little more aggressively. So you, because of the way that it's balanced for these, you don't technically need to do anything other than plant a bunch of plants. But I think on the next level, there's one other thing. So yeah, just going through all the corners. And in here, we also have these toxic barrels that exist in the world. And so those, if you try and grow near them, see it sort of more actively decays your growth down. So you can oil these by growing the area around them for long enough, and that'll get rid of it. And then in later levels, we added some walls to sort of make it harder to maneuver around and get your animals spread to different places. But that, I think, is the gist. And yeah, if you walk off of the green space, you start taking damage, which is how one would lose. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the gist, unless anyone else on the team has anything to add. If not, we can go to questions while I plant trees.
Alright, sorry, the volume is pretty loud on the game. Just trying to figure out how to...
I'm not sure if I can do that on my end, but if you right-click on the stream, there should be a volume for the stream specifically. Sorry about that. We didn't get around to implementing volume control.
No, you're good. I wasn't able to talk with that. Cool.
Yeah, probably stop growing while we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. So I thought that the theme was really well. I like the graphics and visuals a lot. I like the animation a lot, with both the main character and the animals that were summoned moving around and having different reactions to things in the environment. I was looking for, I guess I was looking for what the challenge in the game was, or trying to understand that a little better. As is, it kind of is borderline game toy here, where like there is a goal, and maybe we just didn't really get to the point where we saw challenges, but I was looking for a little more of that, with sort of how many different mechanics there are and options for what the character could do. I was expecting you to be presented with more reasons to use the different options. So I guess that's what I'd be looking to see added in here. Or you could go the other direction and kind of back off of the options a bit if there aren't sort of a parallel enough challenges for those options. I did I did find the sound pretty jarring. Just to be blunt, like I found it very hard to focus on the game with the like beep 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 beep, especially when you summon animals. So just something to keep in mind that like, as we've talked about, the sound can enhance the experience a lot, but it can also make the experience hard to perceive or harder to enjoy. So maybe a little more time spent on that and tuning just to cut out some of those rough edges might have been nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was about the challenges that I think, if we had another week to work on it or next, where we go next, I definitely I had some ideas for more obstacles that would kind of interact a little more aggressively to make it more of a challenge to like maintain the grown area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, thank you.
It was very cool to see.
We do. Next is Jay.
Yeah, so I completely agree with Ben on that. Like a challenge would definitely be nice. I love the art style. It's very, I guess, very animated. I like that. I like how the trees grow, like this growth shown in the little art. I love how the animals like become from sketches and morph into like colorized details. The sound was definitely a bit jarring. At the time I had to lower the stream volume because of that, but it definitely could be improved on. What else is there? I don't know if this would necessarily help the game, but I feel like for me, it'd be nice to kind of, instead of having all these options from the start, it's just kind of, in a way, like tutorialize it, where like, first like the trees, like what do they do, what is their function, and then kind of add them on as you go through the level. At times, I didn't know what they did initially until it was shown. I don't know if that was your intention, like giving all the tools to players initially and having them kind of experiment it. But yeah, that's what I thought. Was there a reason why it was like you chose to have like the 2D and a 3D environment, or like what led you to that decision?
I don't know if any of the other folks on the team can speak to this better. I think for me it was sort of just a product of I'm more comfortable doing code in 3D, and we had a couple of people like making them just get through assets faster in 2D. Trying to blend those.
It was definitely a nice compromise then. But yeah, it's great work, and I love to have it in line with the theme.
Thank you.
All right. Let's do Caelan next.
Yeah. First of all, I'm in love with this character design of the player character. I want to know more about them. Like, why are they so sad? I almost feel like the Reaper is the one who killed the world to begin with, and now they feel bad about it. They become this kind of druid character. I would actually love to know more about the process behind that character design, if you'd be willing to share.
I mean, for my end, I asked Misty to come up with cool stuff, and Misty made some magicalness.
Yeah, it was kind of based off a sketch that Lillian did. She just drew this really cute skull character, and then I kind of just try to, since it's, we talked about the main character being like a nature god, so I try to add a bit more nature aspect to it, but yeah.
I think it's really inspiring. On the topic of sound, one of the things that I find really helps out a lot with sounds getting like repetitive or grating is just like even mixing up the pitch of them. Like it's something that is not too difficult to do depending on what game engine you're working in. And I think even like it's not necessarily just the form of the sound; it's like the repetitiveness of it that can like get to people. So even just like randomizing the pitch slightly, I think can do a lot. But that's just my 2 cents. Overall, I think it's.
I do have a question about randomizing pitch. Would that be something that could be done through scripting, or would you have to just create different variations of a sound in a digital audio workstation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what engine is being worked on here. If it's Unity, you can actually like your the default Unity like sound player has an option for this. Like there's a variable where you can adjust the pitch slightly, so it's actually something that can be done entirely in script. I think that's the case with a lot of game engines, but so it just depends.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. When I was asked to do variations of things, they would always just have me do it in the DAW.
Yeah, we've done this before. We're doing like dialogue loops and stuff like that, where you have like a little.
Let's see. Now we have Nick.
Or like beep, oh, if it's Celeste, they talk about like a beep, 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 beep,
beep. Yeah, exactly. Oh wait, sorry. Before I'm done.
It's Celeste talk.
No, you're done, Caelan. It's my turn.
I just want to be reminded what the name is so I can write it in my copy.
Oh yeah. Green Reaper.
Yeah, this one is Green Reaper. Time for another try, but it's like Thyme.
Yeah.
Thyme. Can you dock 5 points for Thyme, Caelan?
What?
Give them less points for calling it Thyme.
Why?
If you pun, you get less points.
Yeah.
What? You know the game we made?
Okay, give them more points. I don't know. So my thoughts on the game. First of all, very cool. I just like the idea that you're this little druid wizard guy and you can spawn plants and you can spawn animals that just will run in a direction until they die. That was just like amusing. On the topic of the art, I thought the kind of hand-drawn style of it was super charming. But I did notice that, you know, some of those animations you put together were still like sketches. Like not every frame of the animation was fully colored and all that, right? And you know, it's a game jam, so that's understandable. But that's something that is a good skill to hone. Just like, you know, team resources and how you're spending them. Because if, you know, your game's trying to get to a level of quality, then you want to put that work in. But if you, my point is that it could be better spent on cohesion rather than getting very specific things up to a very highly polished level, like a specific animation having more frames, right? So I noticed that your background was a lot simpler, and even like the walls on the perimeter were still gray box, right? And I think the style and what you're trying to do with the hand-drawn approach would be a lot more powerful if it was cohesive on everything. And I think you could get away with simpler animations in that case. If you're trying to practice animations and kind of learn that system, that's cool too, because you did a really good job with that. And I think overall it was just a really nice visual. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for sharing.
We are out of time. So, on to the next one.
Yep. So next we have Medieval Farmer Simulator 1421, developed by
Yeah, let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see that and hear it okay. If it's too loud, let me know.
I don't hear any sound.
Let me try turning it up.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Still less?
It needs to be turned up louder. I can barely hear it.
Alright, well, this is probably as loud as I can get it for my own sanity because it's very loud on my end. So, we'll just go with this for now.
Yeah, if you right-click the screen, you can do it the same way you would turn up an individual's volume.
Yeah, so you can turn up the stream by just right-clicking, and that should probably help. Anyways.
Turn it up. Where can you turn it up?
I am Sam. I was a programmer and I did some of the UI for this game. I also had Shine, who's a previous officer for Game Dev Club. He did programming. RF, who's a current officer for Game Dev Club. Seattle, who did the art. And then Delara, who did the music and sound effects.
And I also did some UI design as well.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and start the game. So we went pretty on the nose as a theme with Growth and Decay. You play as a medieval farmer who faces many problems like feudalism and I don't know, the wealthy upper class, but we decided to focus mainly on the plague. So essentially, you move around in it's basically a tower defense game where you fight the monsters of the plague, which consist of rats. So it starts out in the planting phase where you want to plant your crops. Your crops are your livelihood as a farmer, so this is what you need to protect. And once you plant your 5 crops, then the monsters will start spawning. Your crops are your health, so if they get destroyed, you lose. Of course, you get the option to choose where you plant them. So I'll just plant them here. Alright, so now some monsters will start spawning. I have to defend my crops however I can. And so how the theme of decay plays into this is that all the towers will decay over time. So I can place some walls here. And you kind of have to balance how much you want to defend yourself at a current time. Because it might turn out that maybe you place too many towers and you'll run out of money. So you kind of have to think about the cost of everything. There's 3 towers. You have these scarecrows, which kind of shoot things. You have these wall tiles that they last a long time, so they're good just to kind of wall off an area and make the rats trying to find another route through. And you have these little scythe towers, which oh, he got in. Oh no. You have these scythe towers that are kind of like a short-range AoE. They're pretty strong, but of course the range isn't the best. I think there's actually a bug in the version that I unfortunately submitted where I'm not getting more money after every wave, so we'll see how well I can defend with this limited amount of money. But that's basically the main kind of aspects about the game. You're kind of fighting these waves of rats that pathfind their way to your crops as your towers slowly die over time. Yeah, there's a couple different spawn points. We hard-coded kind of the waves and how they spawn. Yeah, so right now it's kind of slower on this right side because before they were spawning on the left, but pretty soon they'll be coming from all over. I think I'll make some. Actually, I don't know where they're gonna spawn next. Okay. Oh no. If there's no path to your crops, the rats will try to start breaking stuff down, and it basically increases the speed at which things decay. And I think I actually did it just about. Yeah, we only have 10 waves. We didn't have time to make more levels, otherwise we would have, and longer waves. And yeah.
Okay, so I think Arif and I should talk about the art side of things. Okay, so when it comes to sound, because I was very, very confused about what we were going to be doing with the art, I literally just went in and for the wave music made this very ominous theme with tolling bells. But I didn't know that that was not going to suit that was not going to suit the art style, and then we had to go and like completely change the art direction, so I had to completely change the sound, and I had to re-instrument. I had to do two things. One, there was an A section with just like a bass line that would go into the B section, and then the B, A, and C sections would be the full piece. But in reality, because I was crunching a little bit, I had to just make the A section the pre-wave, played like in the pre-wave phase, and then the B and the C section played in the main wave phase, and I think that worked because it was more cohesive, and it also kind of got rid of the crunch I was going to have. For sound effects, I didn't really feel I had to crunch too much because I knew I could easily just get a bunch of things, layer them together, and then manipulate them using various effects such as EQ and compression to sort of get the sounds that I want. So that wasn't too difficult for me.
Yeah, and final notes, it was like great working with these guys. It's my first like actual game jam working in a team, so it was a great experience as a beginner, and yeah, like it was lots of fun learning a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
This was also my first time like doing creative direction as well, because I had never like done UI design or creative direction before. I had worked on level design in the past, and music, but I had never actually like done the creative direction for a game. So like I made mood boards when we really needed to finalize our artistic direction and stuff.
Cool. Let's hear what panelists have to say. Nick.
Yeah, so I love this. This game looks like I would just have a lot of fun playing it. Like when that rat got in and just took out like 4 of your crops at once, I was like, ah! And yeah, it's just this is totally just super, complete, and you can totally build off this. So good job there. It's a game. You did it.
Thank you.
The art as well, it looks like a lot of thought went into it, and that really shows because of how cohesive it is and how well it's done. But you guys putting in that extra work to make the UI, everything pixel art, that is really cool to see. I especially like how the characters are done differently to the environment. They have the black outline on them, and that really helps them pop. I don't have a ton of critique of the art because I think it's pretty solid. But one thing I see a lot in student games is that the grass is always green, the dirt is always brown, and if there's water, it's always blue. But you have so much leeway to mess with those colors and just to try different things. So I would encourage experimenting with that in the future. It looks good though.
Yeah, thanks for the advice. Also, we were planning to add more like plague monsters, like crows or something, but yeah, that didn't come into fruition, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think this game definitely fits in with the theme of the game jam. I really love the pixel aesthetic. In terms of the UI, I think it's very cohesive with the rest of the game. I have to point out that, I guess, I don't know, is the font for the wave and then the currency and then like the text that was at the bottom, was that a custom font that you drew out and put in, or was that like a font that you found?
No, that's a font by someone that goes by the name Chevy Ray.
Okay.
They made like
to me,
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
to me,
was what I ideally wanted for the text was like these paint-like marks. But like they're kind of pixelated. Like you remember like older Mortal Kombat games, like for their lettering, they have these paint-like marks, but it's obvious it's pixel art. I wanted something like that, but that would have been hard to create.
Yeah, definitely. It just felt a little hard to read, in my opinion. Font that's used for the buttons on the top, that felt fine to me, just the readability. I feel like one thing that could improve the top ones at the top is that if you don't have enough currency for that specific item, just like gray it out just to show the user that that they're not able to buy that. But overall, really liked it, and thank you. Thank you.
Do Ben?
Hi. Yeah, thanks for sharing this with us. Yeah, hits the theme really strongly. I love the graphics and the graphic design. I also have concerns about the readability of the font. But yeah, I mean, this, with some bug fixes and more content, I mean, this is a game that I could easily imagine seeing in, on Steam or something like that. It's, doesn't seem like it's that far from there. One question that I had was about your choice to put the buildings and player ability options at the top of the screen, as opposed to, I think, where they're more standardly positioned at the bottom of the screen.
I thought when designing the UI it would be better for that, just because while it might be convention that they're placed at the bottom of the screen, I just really wanted the player to see more of the. I just really felt like if it was put on the bottom of the screen, it might distract from the player to be able to see where the enemies are spawning. So I thought that top right corner might make things less invasive.
Okay.
It's probably something where in the future maybe there could be a setting for it to kind of maybe either have it at the bottom or at the top, kind of based on player preference.
Yeah, I could see that, and your reasoning makes a ton of sense to me. My experience with it was that it was more challenging. I'm not sure how much or how little that's just what it being different than what I'm used to. But that's the only thing that I really noticed where I was like, I'm not exactly feeling that, but I don't think it's objectively wrong decision or anything like that. Just wanted to ask about it. But yeah, this is really cool.
Heads I usually like things to be located far off to the right corner, top right corner, or far off to the top left corner, because again, I feel like putting it on the bottom can usually distract from the overall scene. At least that's how I feel.
Yep. Alright, thanks.
Yeah, really, really cool little project. I'm a big fan of the, crazy bipedal ratman. I was not expecting that. And yeah, really just a really impressively, complete project for a game jam. I think you've done a great job of not, over-scoping, and really just, getting in all the necessary features to make it fun, but also just very easy to understand in a short time period.
Great, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions, comments from our panelists or anyone in the crowd? If not, thank you for showing this, guys. Awesome game. And shall we move on to whatever is next, which I believe is...
So we're officially at 2-hour mark of our Game Jam showcase, but that's okay. We have 2 more teams to show. So next up is Flourish, Regrowth by Chow. So Chow, if you're here,
Alright.
hop on and show us your game.
Try to. Let me see. This works. Is it showing?
Yep.
Alright. It's I'm Chow, and this is a game I made. And is the sound working alright? Is it too loud or anything? Should I? It works. It works. Alright. So basically, it's a real-time strategy game where you build stuff and
grow your empire or stuff. So here we have, oh, a bit loud for me. Alright, so you control these units to gather resources and to build stuff. And the thing is, every time they act, their health decreases, so they decay, basically. And when they decay too much, let me just speed this up a little bit, they die. See, this one should be about maybe one more. Oh, there. Yeah, so when they decay too much, they basically die, but they leave some seeds behind. So you can revive dead units by watering them. And every time they die, they drop 2 seeds. So it's kind of like an exponential growth thing, where you will eventually have more and more units to control. And I don't know what else to talk about. I don't actually even know if I can show enough stuff in 10 minutes. But as you can see, they're building stuff. And here I have a greenhouse that was given to me, and when I built it, I have to staff it with some of my flowers. And what the greenhouse does is it lets you convert these people into white flowers, who are gardeners who are really good at flower watering stuff, so they'll automatically target seeds, so you don't have to do the manual watering all the time. And I can build a bunch of other stuff as well. So as you can see now, they're mining stuff, but they're walking all the way back to the tree, and that's not very efficient. So if I build a storage here and let them do the job, I want some more white flowers to water the stuff. And you speed this up a little bit. If I build the storage here, and they'll just walk to the storage to store the stuff instead. So that's pretty much the gist of the game. And another part of the game is, as the time goes on, enemies will start to spawn, and you'll have to build defensive structures to keep them from destroying the tree, which will end the game. And right now, not much is happening. The game has a pretty slow build-up, so nothing interesting is probably going to happen in the first 10 minutes. But here's our first enemy. There's only one of them, but the game scales with your population, so the more flowers you have, the more enemies will spawn. But I probably want to build a library so I can increase my knowledge, which would unlock more buildings. So some of the defensive buildings is unlocked through getting more knowledge, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to have some people build the library, get some people to gather the resources, and now I have to staff the building. But yeah, that's basically the game. I don't think I can finish the game in 10 minutes, but yeah, I'll just keep playing until Cameron sleep, I guess.
While you're playing this too, like, I kind of want to see
let me
chime in and ask anything.
Yeah, let me turn the Discord up a little bit, because where, and then scroll down. Right, this should work, or not.
Can you pull up the crafting menu again?
Oh yeah, the building menu? Yeah, this has all the buildings.
Is that a crab?
Yeah, it is a crab. It's
it's a decorative building that
important.
Yeah, it is. It's something you can build.
That's unfair. He's bragging
Totally-
on official.
Totally not
Yes.
bribing the panelists.
Automatic disqualification for bribery.
Let me just build more. Oh, there's more
No,
of them.
stop building. You have to get enough points for the crab statue.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build
my bad.
more libraries.
Oh,
so I
those
can get
libraries
the
don't
statue.
cost blue tokens.
Yeah, so libraries generate some knowledge, and knowledge is required
Oh,
to
of
unlock
course
the
it
tab.
is. You did it.
Alright, that's enough. Alright, let's start building the crab statues. This is very important.
So, I guess, Nick, what do you have? What are your thoughts on this game so far?
I think it's perfect. No, so yeah, okay. This is a good game. So I feel like this is not your first game.
It is not my first game.
First rodeo. You might even be a professional. Because I mean, just that, even the title screen, man, like that. Can you pull that?
This is my 8th game jam in the
You made this all by
Game Dev
yourself?
Club. Yeah.
In 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It's great.
You're crazy, dude.
Yeah. I definitely couldn't have done this first year. But yeah, a lot of the art stuff is not made during the jam. I kind of just reused the sprite from another game.
Okay.
And I focused on I focused on making the game instead, I guess.
No, that's okay.
Well, that would make things.
The art I made for this game is mostly the buildings, because I don't just have those assets flying around. But the flowers, they were from another game. Actually, this is kind of a spiritual sequel for another game I made, also called Flourish. That one was a little less polished. But I think with 2 weeks, there's a lot of time to just go wild with what your game can do, I guess.
Can you show me the logo or like the title screen art again? I think.
Yeah. I guess.
I think if you just scroll up right there.
Yeah.
I think that's super nice.
Like a small collage of the nice thing.
What was your process for making the music? Just curious.
For making the music? Oh, so when I think about growth, I decided that maybe the music should also kind of grow throughout the different stages. So first, I kind of made the full version, and then I kind of removed the instruments bit by bit. So at the start of the game, it plays a more slower version of the music, and then as you build up your population, the music changes to a more completed version of the music, I guess.
You basically do that.
And
It's pretty dope. Like, did you just export each track individually and then layer them using some sort of third party?
oh no, it's just 4 separate tracks, and I just like turn off some instruments and change the tempo a little bit.
I see. That's pretty dope.
I'm interested. Jake, what do you have to say?
Alright.
What can I say? This is first of all amazing considering that you did this all by yourself. I think the UI is very clean. It's minimal. All your information is there. I love how if you hover over your resources, your buildings, you get little tooltips that show more information.
Yeah.
I love how you can hide the building stuff so they're not in your way. You can see all your gameplay. Yeah, this is definitely a well-made game. For a question, is that library modeled off the Susanna library?
It is! Guys! This is a small Susanna.
Oh, I just noticed that this is library. That's good.
Not sure if people can tell after all these years of in-person, not remote.
Yeah. Yeah,
I forgot to build walls.
You said this was the eighth game you made?
I think I could check. I put all my games on itch, so this is the first game jam game I made, the second one, the third, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and eighth. It is the eighth game I've made.
That would be interesting going back and seeing your old games and seeing how they've progressed till now. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
kudos to you on just keep honing your skills and making games. So that's definitely how you improved. One bit of feedback that I know you said you didn't do the art, but I guess the terrain seems very generic with like just a flat green grass. So if there was some texture on it, I feel like it would be better, or like some texture different.
Yeah, it's very slight. There is kind of a texture, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, great work.
I think if I could, I would probably put some flowers above.
That'd be nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Up next, how about Caelan?
Yeah, just really, really impressive project. Obviously mirroring what everyone else has said. I think my favorite thing about it is definitely just how cohesive all the visuals are. I think you've got a really, really strong style that works fantastically for a small game like this. And yeah, the flowers are just adorable. I really do want to know. I'm very interested in like just hearing even more about where you might want to take this if you were to expand on it, because it seems like the kind of thing that like totally could go as far as you possibly wanted it to.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm not sure. Anyways, I don't think I can finish the game, so I actually pre-recorded some stuff that shows off some later stuff.
Oh, I would love to see it.
So is the video showing up okay?
No, it's sharing the web screen.
Alright. I think if I switch to showing, let me change the window. There. So here's a bit later. If I had 20 minutes, as you can see, the game gets a bit overwhelming.
Holy shit, dude.
At the pretty end, you start getting different enemies. Let's see if I can get more interesting. But yeah, it's basically just about building things. And pretty much the goal of the game is to build the end gate, which would end the game. And later attacks are there's more enemies, but you also have more powerful turrets. And yeah.
Are you trying to tell us that you had enough time to create a video after you've made the full game?
No, this is a 30 minutes video of me just playing through the game. Like very edited. It's not edited at all.
I'm just saying that's the best.
I just know that it's impossible to finish the game in.
This man made a full game.
Oh my god, look how many enemies there are.
Yeah, they got the walls, and yeah. So they're constructing the end gate. It takes a very long time to make but if I could skip to the ending, actually I won't spoil the ending. If you want to play the game, it's on itch. But yeah, that's my building game.
Feedback to get from Ben. So, Ben Hayes?
Yeah, just unmuting and turning my extremely loud fan off every time I unmute. Yeah, what everyone else said, this is extremely, extremely impressive. I am pretty blown away by this. So I +1 what everyone else said, and just to save time, I'll bring up a couple things that I didn't hear other people say, but that I was particularly impressed with, which is when we first started demoing the game, one thing that has come to mind for me for a lot of these games is like decay is very easy to have not be a fun mechanic, like just continually losing stuff. So when you started out and you were like, these are your little workers, they die, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. And then you immediately solve that problem by, oh, they die into seeds that give you something. And they multiply into more workers. And I was like, oh, that's cool, but this is going to get overwhelming. And then like 30 seconds later or a minute later, you built a building that made you staff it with workers, which then made the number go back down, which kept the number from just increasing super, super fast. So the thing I wanted to highlight and point out was like you made a lot of really, really strong systems design decisions. So in addition to just this being a ton of work, clearly, that you were able to do very quickly, and the visuals and the audio and the engineering being impressive, I was also really impressed by just the core mechanic and the systems you designed and how they work really well together while supporting the theme. So yeah, great work.
Thank you. The overpopulation problem is actually one I had to solve pretty early on because they grow very fast, and if I didn't add in the staff, you would have over a few hundred units on the screen, and that's very hard to manage.
Did you run into any performance issues?
I do. If there's too many, it does start to lag a bit. So that is something I can improve on. I think if I toggle the health bar off, if there's an option to toggle the health bar off, that might help. But yeah, as you get more units, it gets a little bit laggier. I'm not sure if it's just the browser that's being laggy or if a desktop, if a text desktop build would fix that. But yeah, as you get more units, it would run into a little bit of performance issue.
Oh, this was awesome. Are there any other questions, comments from the panelists or otherwise? Alrighty.
We will move on to the last team. Nighttime Bread Delivery Service by Riku, Dan, and Renatu. So if you're here, feel free to pop on up and share your screen.
Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the person who was planning to present this one actually had to drop off earlier than expected.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, Raikou had to leave.
Yeah, Raikou is no longer in the building. I don't know if Dan is here, or we'll just have to leave this as an exercise for the reader to go and play that game on itch. Yeah, I don't think they're
It's a very cute game.
Cool.
Yeah. Honestly, like what we could do, maybe as an is someone could just stream themselves blind playing it. Do any of the four panelists want to take a crack at it? Just blind play it.
Go for it.
We're gonna open this time up for the panelists to go ahead and blind play this since the representative from this team is not here.
Where can I download it?
Let's see. It ought to be up on the itch page. I'll link it in the general chat real quick. Try Campus Game Jam.
Yep, it's linked in the general chat.
Yeah. Let me see. I can get this window size well. How's this?
Let me see.
Yep, we can see it.
Run the game and see if we hear sound.
How about Monster?
Yep, we can hear it.
Sounds good.
Hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Here are your developers. I'll get started. Wow, this is gorgeous. Wait, there we go. Wow.
This is sick.
Oh no, it's gonna
Wow. This is burn.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I played this game before the showcase. I think you have to wait until like the third level of cooking. Oh yeah, that's burnt, so you have to click out.
Click out of the oven. Oh, there we go. That's burnt.
Delicious to me.
This is
good. This is good. Run, run.
Wait, I have to
Run.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Oh no, it got stale. Okay, I see how it is.
You
I see how it
can
is.
give it to
Okay.
the beaver.
Oh, you can give it to the beaver. Okay, okay, okay. Like this.
You just have to spam space.
Excuse me?
I think it's space.
Space
Oh,
bar.
oh, oh. Okay, good. Did it work?
Yeah, you got 10 points.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Alright. This time, we're schmoovin'. I'm gonna jump on some mosquitoes. I'm in love with the sprite style here.
Yeah, I think Ray made all those.
I really love this aesthetic, honestly. I love the lighting with the moon and stuff.
Yeah, let's go. To eat my precious teddy
Oh my
human.
god, you can see the teddy human.
That's lovely.
Did we do it?
Yeah, I
Did we
believe
feed all the friends?
that was all.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you could bake more bread, and there would be a second dialogue, but I'm not sure if there's more.
Let's see.
Just keep feeding him.
Feed him until he explodes. No, I think that's about it.
Cool.
Bring this to our fox friend, and then we'll call it a day. There's so many. We're all high.
You thought.
I
I like that death screen. It's pretty.
The art is amazing. The mosquito is still killing him. Trey is dead.
See the credits.
I should have been.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, this adorable little project. I guess I'll go first because I played it. I'm in love with the art style here. And I think the music is also very relaxing. Obviously, like some more of a conclusion would be really awesome to see, but I won't go too deep into like constructive criticism because I'm not actually here. But yeah, adorable project.
I guess we could just get the critique of the other panelists in turn. So, how about Ben?
Yeah, very, very cute game. I love the way it looks. I couldn't quite tell without sort of more framing what all the goals or mechanics were, but yeah, as a charming thematic experience with some cute little timing mechanics and platforming, I thought it was really nice.
Next, Jay?
Yeah, I agree with everything that was said. It's It's a very adorable game. I love the art, especially, and the portraits that show up on when you talk to each character. Uh, I agree with Ben. It's hard to see what the overarching objective was. I think it was just giving bread, but I'm not sure what the game was. But yeah, the sound was also lovely, and yeah.
All right, and then finally Nick.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not here, but just more of a general statement to everyone as a manifesto of sorts. Like, consider vibes first design. I think this game executed that very well, where it's a vibe. The music and the art and the story are all working together to just make this like really cool feeling, this moment of being this raccoon and helping your friends out. So maybe the mechanics aren't necessarily there, but this is the stuff that interests me. So A+ to this team for that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right.
Yeah, that's all the teams. So awesome. So that is UW's very first tri-campus game jam. Can we take a moment to unmute and give ourselves a round of applause?
Work.
Amazing. So again, we want to thank everyone who worked so hard the past 2 weeks to develop really fun games. Special thanks to the game dev officers from UW Tacoma, Bothell, and Seattle. And to the panelists that joined us today, we're so honored to have you here and receive your feedback. Hopefully this event can continue to inspire and motivate students to continue their game dev journey. Also, one last thing, we do have certificates of participation, so please send me your first, last name, and email so that that can be sent to you in the next week or so. You can see the Discord ID right there, so feel free to send it there. And then, yeah, all right. And with all that said, it's a wrap.